John Ivison. Justin Trudeau left Canadians feeling like strangers in their own land. Critics have often accused me of having my head in the clouds, if not somewhere darker and more malodorous. But I was literally in a cloud forest, sitting in a volcanic hot spring, when Justin Trudeau announced his resignation last Monday. It was the first major political event in recent Canadian history I have not covered, and I can't say I was upset about not participating in the pile-on. Trudeau is going, and history will likely judge him more kindly than his contemporaries, as we saw with Brian Mulroney. Yet, as his first biographer and someone who has covered his career since he was first elected in 2008, I feel obliged to weigh in now. Much of what follows is based on opinions formed while interviewing and writing the 2019 book, Trudeau, The Education of a Prime Minister, which I think stands up pretty well. Many of the reviewers felt it was too harsh in its criticisms, at a time when he was still being given the benefit of the doubt by many of my colleagues. But I think the core assessments remain sound. John Ivison. Crises caused by Trudeau and Trump are finally shaking our complacency. https://nationalpost.com/longreads/John-Ivison-Owen-Kotela's-interview. In the book, I noted that Trudeau was elected on a promise to transform a country that was designed to withstand change. His Twitter bio at the time read, "Changing the world, a little bit every day." He promised generational change and renewal, unveiling a gender-balanced, telegenic, ethnically diverse cabinet, as if it were cast with a view to the movie version that might follow. It was symbolic of the promise of change and ambition, after the austere years of the Harper government. Yet, the sky-high expectations and euphoric optimism could not be sustained in the messy real world. The Liberals loved the poetry of governing a lot more than the prose, wrote historian J.D.M. Stewart in The Hub this week. Missteps, controversies and broken promises, such as the pledge to make the 2015 election the last held under the first-past-the-post system, led many to the realization that this was a leader who valued style over substance and talk over action. Trudeau's time in office gradually drained the enthusiasm of those who voted for a man who promised to change the world, but couldn't even change the voting system. The first major criticism in the book is that, while Trudeau may have been the greatest frontman since Freddie Mercury, a narrator and a communicator who, as writer Ian Brown noted, moves through the crowd like someone doing an easy crawl through lake water, his greatest strength is also his greatest weakness. Trudeau's ability to understand the feelings of others and play on them, his impulsiveness and tendency towards sanctimony, meant that a growing number of Canadians, particularly older men, decided he was a manipulative phony who got to be Prime Minister because of his famous name, not his achievements. "Canada is back, and we're here to help," Trudeau told the 2015 Paris Climate Conference. That was typical of the smugness and hubris of which world leaders and domestic voters have grown tired. The second criticism in the book was that the focus on communications came at the expense of making things happen after they had been announced. Even his senior staff admitted that the Prime Minister was much more interested in the initial idea than on the implementation, which created challenges in execution. Critics like Robert Asselin, a former senior advisor in the Liberal government, claimed the centralization of decisions in the Prime Minister's office led to the decline of cabinet government, with ministers often left to announce and defend decisions made at the centre, on which they had had little input.